What's up guys, I got a brand new video for you today, and today we're going to take a look at the NARBox 2.0, and it's not just an external SSD. There's more to this thing that meets the eye, and I've had it for a while now, and I've kind of wanted to make a video on it. I just didn't know how I was going to do it. I was going to do it while I was doing some traveling, but since we can't really do any traveling right now, I'm just going to talk about it here. I'm going to talk about my workflow, how I back files up on this thing, and how I use it with Lumafusion, because I think in my last Lumafusion video that I put out, I was taking the files off of this and I didn't really talk about it much. So this video, we're gonna talk about workflow, backing up files, and just some functionality of this thing. So let's make it a short video. Let's not talk too long. Let's jump into it. So if you don't know what the NARBox is, it's basically a rugged, weather-resistant external SSD that has a built-in SD card reader, USB-C, and Wi-Fi for backing up files. It can also be used for an external hard drive, but there's cheaper options if you only need a regular external hard drive. I bought this for backing up files while I'm out shooting. You can also transfer files from your phone to the NARBox, but transferring from iPhone to NARBox is super slow because the iPhone is just slow over USB. But I can imagine that most of you are going to use this with an SD card from your camera, so to turn it on you hold the right button down until it boots. So I already have this thing kind of set up as a Wi-Fi device, so when we go to the iPad here, we're going to go to Wi-Fi, and we're going to see it here. We can click on that. I've already set up my Wi-Fi with it, so it's automatically going to connect to it. Once it's connected, you get a little check mark here, and we'll run through some presets and backups and things like that you can do with it. You're going to need to make sure you download the SafeKeep app, because this is the only way you can access the files on the NARBox wirelessly. So Smart Backup, flatten folders, and folders by extension. I'm doing this because on Sony cameras there's so many files to get through in order to get to the actual video clips. So I set that up, then I'm going to set files by date modified so that it's going to import them based off when the files were created. Once we're done, we can drop in our SD card, plug it right in the back here, and it's going to automatically show up where you can back up, but we're going to go to Advanced, NARBox, and then we're going to choose the preset, which is the Sony A7 III folder, and it's going to back up off the SD card. So there's about 16 gigs on this card. It took about 3 minutes to transfer, and we're going to go in here and you can see all the files are in here now. And one other thing I want to show you, this is where the computer part of this thing comes in. It'll actually prepare the video previews, and you want to do this if you want to speed things up before you open it in Lumafusion. Okay, so let's jump into Lumafusion and see how we can transfer the files off the NARBox, because NARBox and Lumafusion have integration, which is really cool. So we can go up here to the little file icon here, click on NARBox, it automatically shows up. See our SSD. And like you saw in the preset where I transferred the files off the SD card, it's in the Sony A7 III file folder, and it'll have the date. That date was the date that I guess I transferred it, which was January 13th. And as you can see, because they have integration, it actually shows the battery life of the NARBox, which is actually the battery life that's on here. But you can see it right on top of the iPad here. If you want to, you can actually plug this in and keep it charging that way. But you can see here we have all our media files in here loading in. I'm not sure why there's not thumbnails, which is kind of weird. Typically there are thumbnails. Oh, there we go. Maybe they just didn't load in the first time. But anyway, you can see here we can play back these files. These files are playing back wirelessly on the NARBox, but you have to make those video previews, which takes a little bit longer. So I'm not going to do a huge edit here. I'm just going to kind of show you guys how to transfer stuff off of this into Lumafusion. So let's, I don't know, take this clip here. So we just want to use a little bit of that. Click on that, drag it down to the timeline here. As you can see, it's kind of striped out like this, and it's yellow, and that's because it's actually transferring off the NARBox. So right now we're just looking at a preview, and it takes a little bit here. Now this is way faster if you're plugged in through USB. So yes, you can, click on these files and scrub through them and, preview the files, but you're not actually able to work with those files until they fully transfer to the iPad. So this file's done now, as you can see. Got a nice little file in here. Want to transfer some more. Okay, so let's just transfer this stuff here. I'm shooting a music video on the anamorphic lens for a moment. So click that, drop it down. Again, as you can see, it's striped out here. It won't play until it fully downloads that clip. And you can see that yellow chunk there. That's the piece that hasn't been actually transferred off the NARBox. Okay, so it's done, it's transferred. So now we have our two clips here. So that's basically that. Let's plug in through USB, and then I'll show you how much faster it is to transfer the files versus doing it through wireless. I mean, it's really cool that we're working off this wirelessly, but it's not ideal for the speed. It's fine for photos though. It's just not as good for video because the video clips are so big, right? So we need to get the NARBox into USB mode. So we're gonna click down, then we're gonna click over on settings, and then we're gonna go to dual role USB. So there's mass storage, and mass storage is if you just want to use this as a regular SSD, and that's pretty good if you want to just jump from computer and things like that, but we want to go to USB Ethernet, and we're going to click over. This thing's going to reboot into that mode. Remember, this is a little computer, so that's why it has to reboot. So once this is done rebooting, we're going to plug our USB-C cable in and go right into the iPad. Okay, so it has rebooted, so you can see NARBox USB Ethernet. So we're going to plug this into the iPad Pro. Okay, so if we go into our files here, you can see that we have Safe Keep, NARBox SSD, and it's showing all the files here. And all the files are in here. So now we go to Lumafusion, go up here, NARBox SSD. Keep in mind we're not running through wireless anymore. I disabled the wireless just to show it's working through USB. NARBox A73. And again, we can view our files here. So I'll just get a little piece we want here. And watch how much faster this transfers. Okay, so that's done transferring. We'll get another clip in here. Drop that down. So that's transferring off of the USB-C, a little bit faster than Wi-Fi. And once you're done, you can actually export this video back out to the NARBox, which is pretty cool. So if we go here, we're gonna go export, movie, destination, edit destinations. We can add NARBox. I didn't have it added previously, so we're gonna add it there. Export it to the NARBox. Those are all our settings. And then we're gonna hit export. And then you can choose the folder that you want to transfer to. So let's just do YouTube, and we're going to transfer that. So now this is going to export the movie directly to the NARBox. And now it's uploading, you can see. Again, this is a little bit faster because we're using USB Type-C. You'll notice a little bit slower when you're using Wi-Fi. All right, that's it. To the point, short and simple, gets the point across. Make sure that you watch my other Lumafusion tutorials if you're interested in Lumafusion. If you're thinking about getting a NARBox, use the link below. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked this video, give it a thumbs down twice. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. See you guys in the next one. And one other thing I forgot to mention is you can actually plug in a UHS-2 SD card reader into the USB-C port and transfer the files quite a bit faster than using the built-in SD card reader. You can also use other drives and other things that you can plug in through USB-C and transfer to the NARBox as well.